Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Paradoxic, and it's here. It's finally here after what feels like what felt like a full year without any Marvel, without any MCU content, without any Disney Marvel content. It's finally here. The first of the Disney Plus Marvel series, Marvel's WandaVision, has arrived. It's had its two-episode premiere all in one, so yeah, and the rest of it, I believe, will be a weekly release. But yeah, it's here. It is here. It feels surreal to even say that. It feels very, very surreal to even say that because, yeah, again, like after like a full year, I think it was like without. Because I think I cannot, for the life of me, remember anything that came out in 2020 after March or April or anything like that. That seems like everything, even like production of certain things, actually went into lockdown, went into hold, so you couldn't really tell what had finished or what was ready to release or anything like that. And then even back then, we were meant to get Black Widow last year, and that never happened. That just we were still waiting on that, still waiting on Black Widow. But yeah, no, WandaVision, I think it wrapped up production fairly quickly, even amidst the COVID crisis. So it is one of the luckier series to be released. But yeah, it's amazing. It's actually here. It's actually here, and I think it wasn't too. I think it was like last year still that we it was definitely last year that we actually got like a Marvel sizzle reel of all the series that would be released. So we got trailers for WandaVision and Loki and What If and Falcon and Winter Soldier, and even announcements for other series that would be coming to Disney Plus. So yeah, it's pretty big. It's pretty big. But WandaVision, this is definitely one of the series I've been more and more excited for as it's gotten close to release. Sees the return of both Wanda and Vision, and especially after their arcs in the actual movies. Like Vision, we haven't seen the dude since he got the Mind Stone ripped out of his head by Thanos in Infinity War. Wanda, we saw her die in Infinity War and then be resurrected amongst others in Endgame, and she came back to help defeat Thanos and his army, which we did. And yeah, I think her arc pretty much ended there. She had like one conversation with Hawkeye, and then that was it. So going forward, I think from the trailers we've seen, we know that Wanda tries to create like a life for herself where she has Vision back, like not just Vision back, but she also kind of she's able to live like a normal life, but it's a life that kind of parodies the idealized kind of suburban life with the white picket fence and all. And disclaimer, I have heard that this is the kind of series that parodies off of older kind of American sitcoms and stuff. Like it goes after that kind of style, like it's a mix of a sitcom and a drama. Like the sitcom comes with the parody style and the drama comes with the typical Marvel style. So yeah, these sitcoms this will parody. I've heard names. I've heard like Modern Family and the Fosters. I think the Fosters or like Fuller House and stuff. I haven't watched any of those because mainly because they were released before I was born. So if I don't catch on to any immediate references, that is the reason why. I've still watched sitcoms in my time, so I think I have like a rough enough idea of what to expect, and it should be fun in that sense. And the trailers themselves show that it's not really going too far into them, but it is kind of, again, it's kind of playing off the style of those kinds of shows and showing us what kind of life Wanda actually wants for herself and Vision, so that is going to be fun. That is going to be very, very fun. But yeah, we also have Catherine Hahn and Tiona Paris. Catherine Hahn, I don't know who she plays, but I do know she's going to be a fairly prominent face throughout the series. And Tiona Paris plays grown-up Monica Rambeau. She plays an adult version of Monica Rambeau, so I think that's going to be interesting because the first time we saw her, and pretty much the last time we saw her, was in Captain Marvel way back in the 90s. So it's going to be interesting to see if they actually show us what's been happening in her life between now and then. And I think to see Monica Rambeau like this as well, like first she deals with with her aunt Carol, who is like a part alien and has superpowers and everything, and now she's jumping straight into the future with Wanda and the Vision and everything like that. So yeah, it's gonna be fun to see how that goes and what kind of role she plays. And I think if they do any exploring of her life between now and then that'll be fun to see too. So we have that, and we also have Darcy. We also have Darcy. I think her name is Darcy Lewis or Darcy. I can't remember what her last name is, but it's Darcy from the Thor movies, played by Kat Dennings. She's returning for this. Well, that was a very, very kind of surprise announcement. She's returning for this. And also Agent Jimmy Woo, the guy from Ant-Man who was in charge of Scott's house arrest in the second Ant-Man movie. He's returning. So I think there's going to be some government agency stuff in play too. If Agent Jimmy Woo's going to be, I think he's like CIA or something, isn't he? I think. You see, he's some kind of like government agency, so I think it makes sense that the government would bring in bigger guns to actually deal with like a superpowered being, especially if they feel like. Because I think the premise of this would follow that Wanda creates like some kind of alternate reality that she's happy with and that she's comfortable with, but then that kind of struggles to coexist with our own reality, so they have to bring in some people who are actually capable of dealing with something like that. I mean, they could bring in S.H.I.E.L.D., but I guess S.H.I.E.L.D. technically doesn't exist, and it only exists in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff like that, but, this would be the kind of crossover that would work, for WandaVision and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has ended already, so I doubt that they made any plans to cross over into future Disney Plus series. But it'll still be good to see how they deal with it. It'll still be great to see how they actually deal with it and what goes down and all that jazz. But yeah, that is pretty much all I have in terms of some pre-episode speculation. Nothing to really go off besides from the trailers and maybe a few fan theories. But I am very definitely looking forward to this show, and I can tell you guys are too. I can tell all the people from the trending topics on Twitter and all over social media. So hopefully we can enjoy this all together. But yeah, so this will be the highlight reel of reactions, as always. If you guys want to catch the full-length reaction, that one is going to be over on Patreon. So all you need is your own copy of the episode from Disney, streaming off of Disney Plus, and you can sync it up, and it'll be good to go. So yeah, Marvel's WandaVision. I'm about to say it, Marvel's WandaVision Season 1, Episode 1. I don't know if there's going to be more than one season of this, but I guess it depends on how this first one goes and what they do with Wanda afterwards. Because I think this actually does tie into Doctor Strange too, as well, into the Multiverse of Madness. I think it'll be good to see how they connected up to that. But yeah, anyway, Marvel's WandaVision Season 1, Episode 1. Let's go. So good to hear that theme again. So damn good to hear that theme again. Oh, I think they've updated it. Yeah, they've changed it. Okay, they've added some new clips, added some new visuals. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Making it all classic. Yeah. That's good. That's real neat. Yeah. Starring Wanda Maximoff. And Vision.
That's me off to work then.
Vision going to work. Jesus, that is... now he's human again. Yeah, now he's human again.
Have a good day, dear.
Yeah.
The only way Ralph would remember our anniversary is if there was a beer named June 2nd. So what do you have planned?
How do you mean?
Yeah, this is very, very
For your
50s.
special
Very
night.
50s. Computational services. Of course Vision works here. Yeah.
And no one can process the data quite like you do, pal. You're like a walking computer.
What? I most certainly am not. I'm a regular carbon-based employee made entirely of organic matter, much like yourself.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Oh, it's him. Okay. DC Parlow from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's how I remember him. Yeah.
No skeletons in your closet, eh, Vision?
I don't have a skeleton, sir.
Glad to hear it.
They just call him
Your future
Vision
in
like
this
that's a
company
normal
depends
name?
on it.
Really?
What about seduction techniques?
Oh, I have those.
Of course you do. You could point out that the death rate of single men is twice that of married men.
Now that's romantic.
Set the dial and get the taste back into your toast.
Is it a dial? Like a radio? Or...
Top and bottom heating elements
Oh, wow.
can handle
Okay.
anything, from meatloaf to cherry pie to open-faced cheese sandwiches. By Stark Industries. Forget the
Howard Stark.
This is your future.
Howard Stark made a toaster? Or is this some kind of... You know what? I actually believe he would. He tried to make a hover car. I would not be surprised if he tried to make a toaster that could make cherry pie and cheese toast and everything else in between. I would not be surprised. Whoa! No. Vision. Wanda. No.
The meaning of this?
See, I forgot to tell you my wife is from Europe.
Oh, how exotic.
That's what they're penning it on,
Bread
Europeanness.
with bullshit.
Oh, Arthur. And that dress.
Yes, it's so Sokovian is what it is,
It's
yes.
very Sokovian, yeah.
Did you see you in the...
The heart on the calendar was an abbreviation.
You move at the speed of sound, and I can make a pen float through the air. Who needs to abbreviate?
It's so romantic to do the candles, the music, that stunning outfit. I don't want to be unappreciative.
You're awfully dense, aren't you, Vision?
Or he can
That
change
is
it from
your
time to time.
lifesaver. Oh, what kind of house? Recipe cards are on the counter there. Bon appetit!
Great. Yeah, just magic it all up. Just magic it all up. Yeah, just.
Take out the papers and the trash. Or you will be spending cash. If you don't scrub the kitchen floor,
Is he
you
singing?
ain't gonna rock and roll no more.
I'm trying to sing. She's dancing along.
Old MacDonald had a farm, and on that farm he had a pig. Everywhere an oink oink.
She calls you Diane?
Yeah, it's a pet name for me. I'm just
Very
coming,
fitting. Very fitting pet name.
Fred.
Fred and Diane. I think are those going to be references? Are those references to actual sitcom names? I feel like it could be.
Were either of you aware that married men are killing single men out in a large
What are you going on about? And what's going on in there?
He's tenderizing the meat. Oh, the seduction technique. Oh, Jesus.
From what I've seen here tonight, you can barely keep
What?
it together.
Egg and
I mean,
toasties?
look around. There's
Really?
all this
For
chaos
dinner?
going on in your household.
Okay.
Now, what are we going to eat? Breakfast for dinner. How very,
European?
Yeah. It's a European thing. Yeah.
Let's have a toast.
Why did you...
Oh. Is he allergic to eggs? Or toast?
Arthur, stop it.
Or breakfast? Okay, this isn't sitcom-y. This isn't very sitcom. This is dramatic.
Stop it. Stop it.
Okay, this is taking a turn.
Stop it.
This is taking a turn. Oh, he's digging around. He's digging around. Yeah, okay. That took a turn. That took a very dramatic turn.
We'll see about that promotion, huh?
Huh.
Thank you, sir.
Well, after he saves your life, I would kind of think a promotion is in order. And there's a lobster on the fucking front door. Great. It's European.
Charming door knocker.
It's European, yeah.
I do. Do you?
Yes, I do.
Great. Oh. Oh, it's not the end though, it's not the... Whoa, oh, this is in the real world. And they're actually watching it like it's a TV show. Oh, okay, okay, those are cooler credits. Those are... Yeah, these are much cooler credits. Oh, this is a really cool... Oh, these are really cool closing credits. Yeah, it's just like it would be in the movies. Yeah, like an actual visual sequence just like the movies. Oh, the wedding rings. Yeah. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Okay, that's the official end to everything. So it's just giant credits. Okay. Okie dokie, that is the end of that then. Okay, yeah, that was an interesting opening for this series. It was a very interesting opening. I feel I didn't really kind of like, you know, I didn't really feel too engaged until that turn, like that kind of change in tone towards the end when Mr. Hart actually started choking on the thing and stuff changed and like you started to get the sense that, you know, oh, something isn't right here. Like up until then, it felt very, very sitcom-y. It felt like it was very, very clearly parodying like an old 50s sitcom, the humor, which, I mean, it felt much more like An Acquired Taste. So, like, not necessarily that it was bad, but it felt more like, it felt more like it wasn't really, it was parodying it without actually parodying it, if that makes sense. Like, it felt more like they were actually kind of taking that tone, but then actually modifying it to fit what Wanda and Vision were as a couple, as opposed to actually while still maintaining some sense of like the comedy that passed as comedy back in the 50s and stuff. And I think based on the trailers we've seen, we know like each episode will go down like it will travel forward in time. It will go from the 50s to the 60s to the 70s, and eventually, I mean, it'll hit like, you know, actual color and stuff, and then it'll actually start hitting newer stuff that, you know, people are more likely to remember. But yeah, with this, I mean, I think the 50s sitcoms really kind of went into that kind of like, it kind of pioneered maybe, you know, the whole idea of sitcoms actually, you know, kind of like idealizing suburban life and family lifestyles and stuff, and actually, especially like the life of a married couple too, and stuff, and like the kind of stuff that would pass for comedy was jokes about marriage and living together and having kids and a married life, and the typical kind of differences between a husband and a wife and stuff like that. So I felt like they kind of hit the tone right in terms of dialogue in that sense, and it was fun to watch, even if I didn't get all of it, or even if I didn't really feel engaged in all of that kind of humor. But I think, I mean, they are starting off with the 50s stuff, so I think it makes sense. And I think it's kind of just like a way of easing you into it and kind of introducing you to what kind of tone it will be approaching to begin with, and then what kind of path it will be taking down later. And they did like a neat enough kind of mix, because I think right now they're not really going to be delving too much into the whole something doesn't feel quite right thing. Like they did kind of tease it with the whole dinner table scene, and I think that's actually something I liked, that like almost everything changed, almost everything, like the kind of cinematography changed as well, because like up until that point, in terms of the cinematography and the kind of camera angles and the way it was shot and edited, like it definitely felt more like a 50s sitcom. But then once the actual change in tone came and Mr. Hart started choking on the thing, and his wife was just going like being all weird, like saying stop it, and she was like halfway between laughing and crying, like it definitely, like at that point the camera started going up into close-ups and going up into different kind of like more modernized camera angle shots and something more fitted to that kind of change in tone and everything. And up until then, like you could kind of differentiate between what was 50s sitcom style and what was actually like Marvel style, pretty much. So that was a really, really fun way of like executing things. And yeah, I think Vision in a suit was definitely, I think in the beginning Vision in a suit was very, very weird to see, because like I think I think there's only one other instance in which we've seen Vision wearing clothes, or technically two. The first one was in Civil War. He was wearing like a jumper and like a t-shirt and a tie, or just like a jumper and a t-shirt, and then like he was wearing human clothes, but then, which was normal. And then I think in Infinity War, he wasn't wearing clothes apart from when he actually managed to make himself look actually like human, like Paul Bettany, and then he was actually wearing human clothes. And then when he got impaled by the weapon of Corvus Glaive, he actually reverted back to his android form and everything. So yeah, to see Vision in this, I think especially to see, I think it's neat that they actually managed. I don't think it would be particularly hard, but I think it's still kind of cool that they actually managed to like retain his android look even in black and white, because I think it would be hard. I think because I don't think it would be particularly hard, but I think it's cool that they actually managed to retain it in a way that we would recognize. Like he actually looks like the Vision we know from the future. Like they didn't have to go so far back when he like to how he would have looked in the 50s in the comics. Like, I mean, we know he does eventually end up donning his actual classic comic look with the cape and the collars and like the simpler color design and everything like that. But I think they still managed to take his actual modern day android design with the little bits and pieces and actually make him look like a robot, and then actually kind of still managed to make it fit with a black and white filter and everything. So that's cool. But yeah, but seeing that Vision in a suit is just odd. So then it was actually cool to see him actually reverting back to like actually changing into his human self to fit in more, and he goes to work, and it's like Vision goes to work. Vision has a job. I think it was like computational services and stuff, so he actually has a job, and he has no idea what he does there. He just types stuff in super fast and fills out forms, and yeah, and I think that's also like the kind of I think that's also like the way that they introduce this kind of suburban lifestyle for Wanda and Vision, that they're like a regular married couple in the 50s. One of them goes to work, the other one stays at home, and all that kind of jazz. So yeah, I think they really set the tone for that. The fact that what we're seeing right now is exactly the way Wanda wants us to see it. Wanda herself wants to see herself, like Wanda herself wants to live a normal life, and so she wants the people around her to actually see her living a normal life too. So yeah, that kind of tone was very, very early, like very, very, very well cemented fairly early on. And yeah, and I think that it makes sense that they wouldn't explain it as of yet. They're kind of taking their time with it, but there's no references to how they actually got here, because we don't know yet like what actually leads her from the funeral scene in Endgame, or at least like wherever she goes after that, to here now. Like, if any of the other remaining Avengers are even aware of her whereabouts or what's going on with her or anything, or if it's just the US government and the government agencies that have been sent after her to try and sort out what's happening. And I think the credit scene was good because we had like the typical 50s style credit scene that kind of had it zooming out of the TV as we saw, and we saw there was a whole kind of like multi-monitor kind of setup thing as people on the outside are actually looking in and watching and monitoring what's going on so they can understand what's happening. So I mean, I felt like, oh, maybe that's leading into some other kind of mid-credit scene where we see Darcy or Jimmy or whoever else, or like even like Monica, or we see if there's like some kind of government base set up to monitor this alternate reality that's been created. But I think they didn't really show too much of that, just showed that, people are on the outside, they're monitoring, they're kind of seeing what's happening, and things are afoot. Things are definitely afoot, so that was cool. And I also really appreciated like how quickly they actually showed off the 50s kind of stylization as well, of like the opening titles and the kind of the intro to, like, because like we start off with the iconic Marvel Studios intro with the music and the fanfare and the visuals. I think it was, for one thing, it was great to hear that after so long in like an updated form, because the only way since last year that I've been able to hear that is by going back and watching the older Marvel movies, which isn't a bad thing. The older Marvel movies are great. They are all what led up to this. But seeing that Marvel Studios intro updated for something new for the first time, like hearing it was like a really, really special thing. And also just like seeing that they've actually added new visuals too, like in the actual, like the moving graphics in the lettering, they've actually added some new clips and some new visuals, and then some of it's like still unchanged. So that was cool. And then of course once Marvel Studios comes into frame, the aspect ratio changes, the color filter changes from black to white, and then actually shows the embellishment going away and showing off that classic kind of 50s stylization. And then the music kicks in, the old-fashioned music, and the lyrics have been changed to fit Wanda and Vision. It actually says, starring Wanda, Maximoff, and Vision. And I think I noticed it for a split second. Like the font that they used for the actual opening credits of that, of this particular episode, actually, it reminded me of the fonts that they would use on the classic WandaVision kind of comics, like for the Wanda Maximoff and the Vision comics. Like the font actually reminded me of that, so I think that was like a cool callback to the origins of their relationship in the comics and the introduction of their kind of character arc and everything. So that was cool. But yeah, this was like, despite how much of this I didn't really engage with or didn't really kind of, relate to, it was still like a super, super fun episode, a super, super fun introduction to this series and to what this story is going to be like. Seeing things initially from Wanda and Vision's perspective, like what they want us to see, what they want to live, and how they want to live, and exactly how much of it just might not go their way, and what their kind of experience living a like a fantasy life is going to be like. So it was very fun watching it all unfold. And yeah, then there was the toaster. The toaster, I think I'm still struggling to kind of like pinpoint as to whether the toaster commercial that happened was actually a real thing that the Stark Industries made, or if it was actually something that Wanda kind of came up with. But then because it was like a Stark Industries toaster, it's multifunctional too, so you can use it to toast bread, you can use it to warm up cherry pies if that's the thing you do to cherry pies. You can do open cheese sandwiches, and you can do all these different things. And then they slapped the Stark Industries label on it, and I was like, oh, okay, wait, is that something that they actually that Howard actually made in the 50s, or is this something that Wanda thinks Stark Industries would come up with because they're like really, really eccentric and state of the art technologies? Because I think dude tried to build a hover car in the 40s and came close, so I can't imagine that he wouldn't try and build a toaster that could do all of this stuff on the sidelines. Like I can't believe he at least wouldn't experiment with it. Because the Starks are people who would try and experiment with something, but then end up creating even more than they imagined, and then be able to set it off anyway. So I imagine that the toaster is something that Stark that Howard would come up with in his off time, but then find out it works so well that it's just as easily marketable and just as easily profitable. But either way, like whatever it was a cool Easter egg. It was a cool, it was a cool Easter egg. The Toaster 2000, I think it was called, like just a multifunctional toaster. So that was really fun. That was really fun. But yeah, that is that. So yeah, I assume I think it's had a 2-episode premiere, so I will be watching the second episode very soon, and hopefully getting this first episode reaction up even sooner. But yeah, I assume the second episode will carry on from this format, and then I think maybe the first 2-3 at a push episodes will kind of be in this era. I think maybe the third episode might be half this and half kind of traveling into like a decade into the future and actually moving to color, maybe. Because I think by like the early mid 60s they start to have color, maybe like the late 60s, like the 70s or something. They start to add color, and I don't really think this show is gonna go too far beyond the 90s or maybe even the early 2000s. And then at some point we're going to actually hit the modern day stuff with Jimmy Woo and with Monica and with Darcy and everything. We're going to hit the more sci-fi and Marvel kind of stuff. So it's going to be good to see how this all clashes. It's going to be good to see how the kind of like earlier decade stuff and the modern day MCU stuff actually differs and clashes, and what's happening in the real world and how it connects. And it's going to be good to see. It's going to be good to see how it all develops and how it all moves forward. But yeah, that is it. That is pretty much all I've got. Again, a lot of this I didn't really fully engage with, but I still kind of, it felt fun to watch. It felt very fun to watch, so I can't wait to see what the second episode has in store for us. And I think these are only like 30-40 minutes a piece. So these aren't really fairly long. I don't know why, but I imagine like it would be like maybe like an hour long at most. I thought it would be like, like a 55 minute a piece episodes, but these are like short-ish. Like it's like I think if they think they can actually fit in a good enough story and a compact and understandable enough story comfortably within 30-40 minutes, then more power to them. I think it's better to actually like release what you feel is right and release something that you feel is right regardless of the length, than to actually drag it out just for the sake of content. So 30-40 minutes, if it's enough for them, then, I can't wait to see what's in store. So, yeah, but I think I didn't really keep too much track of time as I was watching. I just kind of felt like, this is moving along at like a steady enough pace. It's actually introducing us to everything that's going on and establishing some characters. And Catherine Hahn's character seems really fun so far. She seems like, I think she seems more familiar with this kind of, with this kind of, show background and with this kind of genre, more than Wanda and more than Elizabeth and Paul. I mean, they both fit in. Elizabeth and Paul really kind of pull off their roles really well. But I think Catherine kind of I think she comes from a more comedic background too. So I think she kind of fits into this genre and kind of helps ease them into it a bit more. So her character is a very 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 kind of helpful kind of ally in that sense. But I can't wait to see more of her. I definitely can't wait to see more of her. So and her character seems to get along well with Wanda as well. Like even showing up in the middle of the night to actually, or like later in the evening to actually help her with the dinner, and even knocking on the door to give in the pineapple for the cake and everything. Like she's great. She's great. So can't wait to see where hers and Wanda's friendship where that goes. So that'll be fun. But yeah, that is pretty much it. That is all I've got for this first episode. So that was Marvel's WandaVision Season 1, Episode 1. So thank you guys, as always, so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Comment on what you thought of the episode and what you think is coming up next time on Marvel's WandaVision, and what your theories are for this series. Once again, if you guys want to catch the full-length reaction, that one will be over on Patreon, so you can go check that out over there. And yeah, that is it. So, I will see you guys next time.